4 weeks ago when I started this series, I asked the question, is there anyone in the room who is experiencing some stress? And I asked you to let me know by applause, and I was shocked. I'm not sure anybody didn't applaud. So we've been working 4 weeks by looking at some people in the Bible who had some massive levels of stress and figured out how to navigate that, not cure it, but to navigate through that. And if you're, today we're going to end this series. Next week we're going to start on some Thanksgiving things. But if you want less stress in your life, I've got 3 words for you. Trunk or treat. Yeah, take a look and see what I mean. All right. Tasha, our children's pastor, said that we ministered to hundreds of kids this year. She wants to go to thousands next year. So thank you for what you did, and be looking forward to next year. I did notice in all of those pictures, most everyone was posing except for one guy down on his knees working with children, and that would be me. You just go back to Facebook. Everybody's just standing there beside their car, but one guy is doing all the work, which is kind of typical at Remade Community Church, wouldn't you say? Same to you. All right, let's go with the message today. You know how sometimes you think everybody else has it made? You look at their house, and then they have a couple of cars, and they've got a four-wheeler or two, and a boat, camper, trucks, everything. And you're thinking, how do they do it? You know, how do they even make the payments? That's probably what you think sometime. And you think that they have it together. Their marriage is better. Their kids never act up. They've got the perfect job. And it just seems like everybody else's life is better than yours. And then you get to know them, and you find out that it's not. Because everybody has stuff. Everybody has stress. I think about Steve Jobs. You may remember that name. He looked like a man who had it all together. In 1976, in his parents' garage, he formed a little company that became known as Apple. And if you wonder why he named it Apple, it's because he liked apples. Not very complicated, but the company went on to do quite well. In a 2005 speech to Stanford University, here's what he said. He told the graduating class, he said, "Find what you love. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. And if you haven't found it yet, keep looking and never settle for anything less than what you love." And 23,000 people from Stanford University stood up and cheered. Basically what he was saying, something you hear all the time. Find your passion and you'll find your future. Now that makes a good bumper sticker, and Steve Jobs did okay with it, but it's just not always true. Steve Jobs never practiced what he preached in that message. Find your passion and you'll find your future. It just normally doesn't work that way because passion, and that's when you get really fired up for something, passion leaks and passions change over time. Steve Jobs he just didn't practice what he preached. Before Apple, he knew nothing about computers. He didn't know anything about business. He went to college after high school and he majored in Western history and dance, two very lucrative fields in our world today. But good for Steve. Dropped out after his freshman year. Can you imagine that? Did the best thing he knew how to do after that. Moved back in with mom and dad. And he did become passionate. He became passionate about spending his mom and dad's money and living free in their house. That was a great passion of his. But remember, passion leaks and passions change. Passion doesn't last. He found out that mom and dad wasn't giving him enough spending money. So he decided he would get a night job. Didn't want a day job. You got to get up early. Night job, you can kind of sleep through the day. So he gets a night job at this little game company called Atari. So he starts messing with computer games. Found out that he was pretty good at it. 1976 in his parents' garage. He finally saw an opportunity and he took it. He had zero passion for computers, zero passion for business, but he saw an opportunity to do something with what he was learning and he took it. Now, what does that story have to do with your stress? Maybe everything. Today I'm finishing a series on people of the Bible. We looked in Hebrews chapter 11, and we looked at the lives of Paul and Silas before that, and found out that some of the greatest heroes in the Bible, some of the greatest heroes in history, had stress after stress after stress. And if you go back and look at the lessons, you can pick them up on the web or look at them on Facebook if you need. You know, we talked about Paul and Silas. We talked about Abel. Remember the Cain and Abel story from Genesis. We talked about Noah, and today I want to touch on Abraham. And if you look at all of these men's lives, you'll see the same thing happening. They overcame the stresses of life not by following their passions, but by saying yes to when God gave them an opportunity. And that's what I'm going to be encouraging you to think about today. Don't follow your passion. Follow God's opportunity. Paul and Silas, and you can read about them in the New Testament, starting in the book of Acts. They never started out passionate about starting a new church. Not that we know. They never felt passion about getting into fights with Jewish leaders over Jesus. They never enjoyed the passionate side of getting beaten to a pulp and thrown in jail. That was not their passion. So what kept Paul and Silas going? God gave them an opportunity. He says, I'm going to give you an opportunity to serve me, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to serve people. And these two men said, yes, we'll do it. Might not be passionate about it every day of our lives, but we'll do it. They didn't have time to stress out because they were too busy with God's opportunities. In Genesis, I doubt that Abel woke up every morning with a passion in his heart to shovel up sheep poop. That takes some guts to say from a church stage. Not because it's poop, but because you have to be careful. Something else might be said. I doubt they had a lot of great passion about moving their sheep from one point to another, just trying to find food. That wouldn't be a dream job, would it? Out in the hot all day long. So why would Abel become a shepherd? Because God gave him the opportunity to do that. God gave Abel the opportunity to give back a portion of what he had been given. So Abel just said, I'm going to take this opportunity to serve God by giving offerings. It may not have been a passion to give, but it was an opportunity to give. And in Hebrews 11, it says that Abel's example is still being followed today, and it always will. All Abel did was say yes. When God says, I'm going to give you the opportunity to serve, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to give. I really doubt Noah woke up one morning and said, God, I wish you would let me build the biggest boat in the world. Remember the story? When God said it's going to flood, Noah said, what's a flood? They had never had one before. They had never seen anything like that before. He was not a passionate boat builder. That was not his dream job because it took him a lot of years to pull it off. See, I don't care what you do. You can't stay passionate about it every day of your life. You just can't, because passion leaks and passions change. So what kept Noah focused on the job? The focus came simply because God says, I'm going to give you the opportunity, Noah, to start the world over again. Fresh start, Noah. I'm going to give you that opportunity. It's going to take you a long time to get there, but it's just going to be an opportunity. And Noah said yes. He didn't have a lot of time to stress out about the duties of the ark. He was too busy working for God. Get out your device or your paper Bible and turn to Hebrews chapter 11. Let's look at one more hero in the Bible. And go to verse 8. I'm going to read 8 through 10. Hebrews 11, 8 through 10. It was by faith that Abraham obeyed God when God called him to leave home and to go to another land that God would give him as his inheritance. He went without knowing where he was going. That's kind of a big deal. And even when he reached the land God promised him, he lived there by faith, for he was like a foreigner, living in tents. And so did Isaac and Jacob, who inherited the same promise. Verse 10, Abraham was confidently looking toward a city with eternal foundations, a city designed and built by God. That sounds like Abraham had it made. I mean, who wouldn't want that? That's pretty cool. All he had to do was just follow where God said go. He didn't even have to know where to go. Just obey. That's all he had to do. Now let's go back to Genesis chapter 12. If you're in Hebrews, turn left. Go back to the first book of the Bible. Hebrews 12, that would be to the right. Genesis 12, I'm going to start in verse 1. The Lord had said to Abram, and he became Abraham, leave your native country, leave your relatives, leave your father's family, and go to the land I'll show you. I'll make you into a great nation. I'll bless you and make you famous, and you'll be a blessing to others. Verse 3. I'll bless those who bless you. I'll curse those who treat you with contempt. And all the families on earth will be blessed through you. Verse 4. So Abram departed as the Lord instructed. This may be the most practical message I've ever given. Let's do some life application. God speaks the word. God just speaks the word, and Abraham, he just does it. He just does the word. Well, I mean, I look at this, what a hero this guy is. I mean, you see him and you think, this guy had to be filled with full-blown passion for following God. I mean, look at the promises. Just look at him. God says, I'm going to make you into a great nation. I mean, that's all right, but what comes next is really good. You're going to be blessed and famous. Man, blessings and famous? What? I mean, and then he says, all the people on the earth are going to be blessed through you, Abraham. I mean, sign me up, right? I don't care what kind of stress comes with it. Well, be careful what you ask for. Blessed and famous. Sounds like a winning plan. I could get kind of passionate about that. Make me famous, God. Bless me, God. But wait, there's more. Because along the way to greatness, Abram had to go through some other stuff. And some of that other stuff wasn't so good. You know how sometimes you think everybody else has it together and everybody else, it's all going up and to the right. Sometimes it's not. Because God tells Abraham, you got to leave your hometown. where people are that love you and that you love. And you have to go to a place where you're going to become a stranger and they're not going to love you and they're not going to appreciate you, but you're going to have to go there. So he goes to this land, this promised land. As soon as he gets there, a famine hits and everybody starts starving to death. And then the Egyptians, they come and they take Sarah. They take his wife and they take her to the Pharaoh. And, they think that maybe can get a little hookup going there. After that, Abraham faces incredible odds as he battles these 4 and 5 kings. And then he really messes up. He marries this gal, Hagar. He already has Sarah, but he marries Hagar because he can't have children with Sarah. And Sarah tells Abraham, go ahead and have children with Hagar. I'm okay with it. And we find out she wasn't okay with it at all. She got a little ticked. So now, talk about some stress in life. And the next thing that happens, God says, Abraham, I know you're of an advanced age, but I want you to circumcise yourself. I mean, you think about that. I mean, it'd be bad enough for him to say, why don't you go to the doctor? No, do it can you imagine that kit coming on QVC? Do it yourself. Whoa. And you think you've got stress. Look, the king of Gerar captures Sarah. He wants to take Abraham's wife to be with him. Then he has this illegitimate son, is Ishmael. And then they treat him like a dog, like he really doesn't matter. And then God says, by the way, Abraham, I want you to take the son that you really love, Isaac, and I want you to kill him. I want you to sacrifice him for me. Sometimes we think everybody has it all together, and we look at their lives and they don't. I imagine that at times Abraham's passion for following God got kind of small and weak. But he stayed with it. Why would he stay with it? With all of those bad things happening, why would he stay with it? Why didn't he just let the stress get to him and say, I'm done, I quit, I'm out of here? Because he saw an opportunity to do something for God. And remember, don't be driven by passion, be driven by opportunity. Abraham didn't have a lot of time for the stresses of life because he was too busy chasing God's opportunity to serve others. Now, what I'm getting ready to tell you, you stressful people, you said you were. It sounds too easy. But if you want less stress in your life, start filling up your life with opportunities to serve God and people. The more you do that, the more stress gets pushed in the background. Now, this will not get rid of all the stresses of life. Because remember, Jesus said in this life you will have stress, you will have some issues, you will have trouble, you will have tribulation. But you start to grab onto the opportunities that God puts in front of you, and you're not going to have time for a whole lot of stress that's stressing you right now. Listen, stress is not a disease. Stress is a reaction to life. Don't call your stress a disease. It's not. It's just a reaction. And you can change your reactions. I found, and this is just personal observation, when I take the opportunity to serve God and people, it puts stress in my rearview mirror. Now you may say, well, gosh, Eric, you're in ministry. You get to do that all the time. I'm not talking about my job, because ministry is a job, and there are plenty of stresses in that. Just ask anybody who works as a job for the church, any local church. Now, I'm not talking about that. It's when I go outside of my job and I start using the opportunities God puts in front of me to serve God and serve people. Stress just gets in the rearview mirror. And the only time that stress catches up is when I stop thinking about others and I stop thinking about God and I start thinking about me. I'm so tired. I'm so hurt. I'm so mad. I'm so sad. I don't have what I want. Nobody cares about me. Every time I play the me song, the stress starts to pile back up in my life. Every single time. So, what I've tried to do is not what I'm passionate about, because I'm passionate about sitting in my lazy boy chair. But I try to do what God's given me opportunity to do. A couple of examples. I am not passionate about auto racing. Not. Some of you think I am, because I work with it some. Not passionate. Never wanted to go to a race. Dad, growing up, we never watched racing on TV. Didn't care anything about it. 7 years ago, passion or not, God puts an opportunity right in front of me. See it as clear as day. And He says, I'm going to give you the opportunity for you and a group of people, many of them from this church, and it's going to be an opportunity to serve thousands of people. Thousands of people. For 10 days a year at a NASCAR race. Why couldn't it have been a golf match or something? A lot quieter. But no, He said it's going to be at a NASCAR race. And I took it, and several other people took it. Listen, I don't have any passion for it 10 days a year. I really don't. It does not burn in my bones to get to the track. But it's a God-sized opportunity right in front of me. And I said, yes. I get tired in it, but I can tell you it's 10 of the most stress-free days of my year, because I'm thinking about those people. I'm thinking about ministering to them in Jesus' name. And I quit thinking about me. I like barbecue. Barbecue anything. Barbecued Oreos, they're good. I've had them. But I grew up in this community. I moved back to this community in 1989, and I have never one time really liked this thing they call the barbecue festival. Just nope, not for me. Took Jackie to it when we first moved back to town. I said, I will never go back to that thing again. It was ridiculous. It's congestion, the traffic's everywhere. It's a big old ball of hassle in my life. Never going to do it again. 3 years ago, someone said, you know, there's opportunities to serve a lot of people in this community through that festival. And I said, God, I'm liking NASCAR a little bit better now. And as soon as they said that, as soon as they said the word opportunity, something went off in my head and in my heart, and I thought, Eric, you have never served your community before. I've served in the church, but I'd never served my community before outside the church. So I said yes to the opportunity. I believe God put that in front of me. And for 3 very long days and nights, one time a year, I have the opportunity just to serve my community. And it's 3 of the most stress-free days I'll spend each year. You know why? Because I quit thinking about me, and I start thinking about other people. Here's what I've discovered. Every time I serve God and people, I think less about me, and the stress starts to fade in the distance. And the only time the stress comes roaring back is when I stop looking for new opportunities to serve God and serve people. I think you're starting to get the point. I'm not saying that serving is a cure for stress, because it's not. But remember, stress is not a disease. It's just a reaction. But I will tell you this. You find a place to serve, and it will give you a great vacation from the stresses of your life. A great vacation. And sometimes that's enough. Turn to Matthew chapter 20. Matthew 20, one of the 4 Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew 20, I'm going to read from 25 on. But Jesus called them together, called some of his followers together, and he said, you know that the rulers of this world lord things over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you, it's going to be different. Whoever wants to be your leader must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first among you must become your slave. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and give his life as a ransom for many. If you want to get through life not stress-free, I don't think that's exactly possible. But if you want to get through life with less stress, that's the way to do it. It's the Jesus way. Decide to serve. Jesus came and he made a decision to serve. He didn't have to. He was a king. And he could have acted like an earthly king, but he didn't. He humbled himself, according to Philippians 2. And he looked for places to serve. He looked for people to serve. So you do the same thing. Look, here's a good way to do it. Ask God. Say, God, put some opportunities right in front of me to serve you and serve people. God, I want to stop making life about me. I want to start making life about other people. I'm telling you, the opportunities are countless. And you don't even have to have passion for it. All you have to do is want to do the opportunities. So the question becomes, will we take the opportunities God sticks right in our path, and then we'll start to see some stress melt away. It works. It works. This church, Remade Community, it is a gold mine of opportunity to serve. This community that some of us love, it's a gold mine of opportunities. Your neighborhood is a gold mine. Your own family, the people where you work, your friends, they are a gold mine. Everywhere you look is a gold mine of opportunities to serve. So if you want less stress, it all comes down to this. 4 weeks ago, almost everyone in the room at the time, almost everyone, when I said, who's got stress in their lives, clap your hands, almost everybody clapped their hands. Well, now you know what to do. You get your mind and your heart off of you and put it where God gives you opportunity. Now you know what to do. My question is, what are you waiting for? You're probably waiting on me to stop so that you can get out there and find some places. Well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to have you think about this for a few minutes. We're going to play some music. It's going to be quiet, and you'll have the opportunity to meditate on God's Word, to think about maybe God giving you an opportunity today to serve people and serve Him. Some people during this time will be giving offerings. If you're new to us, we certainly don't expect you to participate. It's okay just to let that basket go by. But whatever you need during these next few minutes, don't wait on us. Just ask God. Okay? Let's pray. Father, a month ago we started this series with a wonderful song by Sarah Groves called When the Saints. And it was from that old song, When the Saints Go Marching In. And that's heaven. When the saints march into heaven, she sang, I want to be one of them. And Lord, if we ever look for perfect examples in the Scripture outside of Jesus, we can't find them. Because none of these human beings had it all together. They faced some incredible stresses in life. Stresses in the work you called them to do, stresses in their earthly work, and in their marriages, with their kids, with family, not enough money, trying to build a church, serving in the temple. Just had all kind of stress. And then some of them were being killed all day long. And yet they kept going after these opportunities that you would give them. God, would you start putting opportunities, well, I know you already have, but would you help each of us who've listened to this message and we want to do this message to start recognizing your opportunities when you put them in front of us, and just do it. Don't think about it. Don't ponder it. Just do it. Start serving you and start serving people. And the next time I ask the question, how many people have a lot of stress in their lives? There may not be quite as many people to applaud what a great day at Remade that will be. In Jesus I pray.